All right. Shalom Aleichem. That means in Hebrew, peace unto you, peace unto the whole planet. Welcome to the Hebrew Messianic Show. I'm going to do something a little different this time, but the reason why I'm here talking to the whole planet is because of a history book that it's called the Hebrew Scriptures. Some people later on in time called it the Bible. But anyway, this history book of mankind, past, present, and future, tells the events of what's going to happen on this Hebrew planet. And this planet in Hebrew is called Adama. And most people just call it Earth. And we've been fortunate to learn the course of time what many men have tried to do and was not able to by tracing man from Adam, the flood, Abraham, what you call Daniel, to the child of Mary, who the Bethula, untouched virgin woman, the chosen Bethula woman that birthed a child that the Roman Catholic have statues, which statues is idolatry, but with those statues in history, it depicts that the Mashiach was black-skinned like the first man Adam. And I'm only making that reference because it's true. Mankind has evolved in time to different shades of complexion. But the first complexion was black like this background. Then later on, Noah became the first light-skinned black man that we call albino. And then in time, what you guys call Jacob and Esau, but in Hebrew, Yaakov, in Esau, the point is, in time, Yodwahe created Esau, this color here. You put this color here next to a black background, this would be considered reddish, brown, whatever. And the point is, through time, mankind has evolved to different shade complexions. We're actually all one people. And I have been chosen in time to where, over the course of years, speaking to you guys on this network, tracing time where people have had certain events and then they couldn't connect the pieces and they would skip and do a certain number, then skip again. They didn't actually know the age of this earth as an atom or how long this planet has existed. And for the record, I'm here to say this planet has existed 6,000 years. That's right, 6,000 years. And to prove that, I will show some information on the screen. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you an introduction of a few numbers, and you can write it down. And then from there, instead of reading the information, I'm going to flash it on the screen, and you guys in TV land can read it for yourself. And after I felt that you have read it, I go to the next, I ask my controller or the technician in here to go to the next shot. And speaking of, I'm in America. I'm in what you call America, and the land of Yisrael, Yadwahe, what most people call Israel, is on the other side of the planet. And people call this America, but this place here, doing the tower from Adam, that's year one, to the Tower of Babel with Nimrod, the year would have been 1,998 years. And in the 1,998 years, the Tower of Babel was stopped, and then people dispersed. Those Hebrew people, those were the generation of Noah, because the first generation was wiped out. There was Noah, who was an albino, but Noah had black-skinned parents. He had black-skinned daughter-in-laws, 3, and he had 3 sons, and he even had a black-skinned wife. From there, all the way up to the Tower of Babel, mankind dispersed from on the other side of the planet. But at that time, mankind from Adam all the way up to Noah, they were called Hebrews, which you call the nation of Israel or Yisrael Yadwahid, didn't even exist yet. But the first man, first woman, all the way up to the flood, they were called Hebrews. They were Hebrews before the 12 tribes. And the issue is, in the year 1998, mankind, some left from that side of the world and came to this land. And at this time, this was an uncharted land. So the people that left, some of Ham's generations, some of Shem generations, they settled this land, and they were Hebrews. So later on in time, when David became king of Israel, Yisrael Yadwahid, Solomon, they used to send ships from the other side of the world to this land. Well, guess what? This land is Hebrew land. So the people that were here were descendants from the Tower of Babel. They were Hebrew worshipers. Christopher Columbus came later on in time trying to find what you call the land of India, made a wrong turn. And when the Caucasian, or if you like to say Gentile, Christopher Columbus, when he saw the people here, he assumed they were of the people of India, so he called the people Indians, which was wrong. So the original people of this land are actually Hebrews. That's right, Hebrews, and this is actually Hebrew land, even though they call it America now. So I'm going to go and I'm asking the controller to show the first shot. And the other point I'm going to explain to you, that before the first Caucasian or pale skin came to this side of the world on this Hebrew land that you call America, and before they called it America, they called it the 13 colonies or whatever that came from Britain or whatever. The point is, those Hebrew worshipers, this was Hebrew land. So, and they were not called Indians. And people take on that name Indians, but they were Hebrew worshipers of several different tribes. And I'm going to use about 3 different tribes. I'm going to talk about the Homer Hebrew tribes and the Hebrew Natchez tribes, Homers in Louisiana, and Natchez. And then also another Hebrew tribe is Choctaw. Okay, they branched from Mississippi, Natchez, Mississippi and Louisiana, and probably some other places. I would use those as my focal point, even though all the tribes that were in this land at that time, many of them have been wiped out. The greatest genocide known to mankind. This is bigger than the Holocaust. This is bigger than the transatlantic slave trade. And almost bigger than baby murder Holocaust. So, all right, you guys have had time to read of 2 particular tribes named Hebrew tribes, and also they have found artifacts on this part of the world that people have dug up, and they said were Hebrew. And if you get into, I saw a program when I was younger, when I was had a head full of hair. but I'm a little bald at the top because I'm a great thinker. Some say maybe genetics. But one day I heard a man that said that his people, I don't know what tribe that was, but he said that his people had been here for 3,000 years, or he might have said 2,500 or something like, but he was close. But before the first pale-skinned person that came from Europe landed on this Hebrew land that you call America, guess what? They had been on this land for 3,400 and may have been 37 years or something like that. I have it written in the writings, though. Yeah, I think it was 3,437 years before the first pale-skinned person came. And this is the year 6,000 right now. This is the year 6,000. So anyway, let's go to the next shot. Now, you guys, the term up there top, it says Yod-Wah-He. That's what you guys usually try to pronounce as Yod-Wah-He. I mean, y'all usually try to pronounce it as Yahweh. But as I've progressed, I found out later on in the Hebrew alphabets, there's no Y-A-H. The correct word is actually Yod-Wah-He. That is the name of the creator, Yod-Wah-He. But anyway, right here you see a shot, and it's explaining that this is the 120th Jubilee. That means 120 sets of 50 years from Adam to his first child, first Jubilee, and then 119 more. 120 times 50 is 6,000 years that mankind has only been on this planet for 6,000 years. And those Hebrews that came from the Tower of Babel and came over on this side of the world, they had been on this land from when the first time they came, 1,998 that year, to this year here. They would have been those original people of this land that y'all erroneously call Indians of different tribes. They would have been, those Hebrew nations, tribes would have been on this land from the time they left from that side of the world, their ancestors, to now 4,002 years. That's right. And this is the year 6,000. If you subtract 4,002 from 6,000, you get the answer that they first came to this land. Go to the next shot. Just tells you that in Daniel, Adonai Yod-Wah-He, 7:25, the beast, which would eventually be Rome, Roman Catholicism, would deceive the world. And in New Orleans, later on in time, I cracked the code through going through the scriptures, and that the last year of that 1,274 years that the scriptures called 3.5 years, but code for 1,274 years from the time Rome Catholicism came in power. Guess what? The 1,274 years Roman Catholicism that has deceived the whole world, the 1,274 year was the year of Katrina. That's right. The year of Katrina was the last year. People used to say, oh, God must have sent the Katrina storm to mess the people up in New Orleans because they were so wicked. But you were wrong, what you call God. It was Satan that sent the storm to wipe out people. But you see that in the mathematics too. Go to the next shot. Now you guys read that from your scriptures. That's Revelation chapter 13, verse 5. Read Revelation chapter 13, verse 5. We'll give you a chance to read it off the screen. And what is actually just saying that 13 and 5 is actually saying 42 months the beast would persecute the Messianic believers and try to change history and knowledge. It portrays as if it's the lamb, but when it speaks, it's really the beast. And that's what that verse is basically saying. Give y'all a few more seconds to read it, because we have a lot to do. And also, you see words down there like Lamech, Hey, Yod, Mem. That's what y'all call Elohim, but Elohim is an incorrect word. But that's pure Hebrew, correctly. Who is Yod, Wah, That is the name of what you call God name, Yod, Wah, But he is Almighty, Lamech, Hey, Yod, Mem. And if you go down a little further, you see another word, Yod, Wah, Shinain. That is the name of the Mashiach, first part of his name. And the second part of his name is Mem, Wah, Nun, Hey. The Mashiach is who y'all call Jesus. But that's not his name when he came out of his mother's body or vagina. It was Hebrew, Yod, Wah, Hey, Shinain. Mem, Wah, Nun, Hey. All right, go to the next shot. Now, this shot here, I'm letting you know that Adam was created the year 1 in the morning, and that he was the first high priest of Almighty Yod, Wah, Now, when you read the book of what they call Jubilees, there says that there were 12 high priests of the Almighty, and then the 13th one was the Mashiach, but they were actually wrong. It's only been 6. All right? And like we showing that Adam was the first high priest. And we showing on the screen later on the second high priest, Adam the year 1. And you couldn't pick a high priest to follow until the other one first died. In the year 930, Shem became the next one. Enoch became the third one, the year 1042. Enoch, son of Seth. And then Methuselah, son of Enoch, the year 1140. So the first high priest, Adam. Second one, Seth. Third one, Enoch, son of Seth. And then Methuselah of Enoch came the next one, the year 1140. Next. And then we let you know that Canaan, in the year 1654, Canaan was birthed the year of the flood. Then we move on in time. We have Abraham. Abraham was born the year 1948. That's right. And then we have also in that same year, Nimrod. This is time after the flood. Nimrod became king the year 1948, and no one in history, as in our day and time recorded, had that actual number right when Nimrod was king. Next shot. Then we go and we talk about the Tower of Babel started when mankind had been on the earth the year 1955. Mankind hadn't had that until from New Orleans at this TV station. Out of all the TV stations on the planet, we were bumping historical biblical news in codes that mankind have had wrong on certain things. This station here, little NOA, the baddest station on the planet. That's right, as far as when knowledge was coming out of here. In the year 1996, Pele, at his death, the continent of the whole world separated. It changes the location. All right? And that same year, the child went up. Melchizedek, he went up. He was taken up to heaven the year of the flood. he came back the year 1998. That's right. Now, Abram at that time, his age was 50. All right, go to the next shot. All right, the Tower of Babel shot, yeah. And as I say, we let you know that the Tower of Babel started the year 1955. And you go to Bereshit, that's Hebrew for what you call Genesis. And Bereshit means in the beginning. You go to chapter 11, verse 8, and it tells you that that the children were scattered, all right, and they were Hebrew descendants of our father Noah. And at that time, when they were scattered, King Nimrod, whose name later on was called Amraphel Yadwahe, after the language was changed, most people think Nimrod, the center of civilization, was over in what you call like Iraq or Babylon, the land of Shinar. But Nimrod left from the location of the Garden of Eden. The center of that was actually what you call today the land of Israel. He left and he moved over to Babylon. So all these times people have been saying that the creator of the world started in Babylon. They was wrong. Nimrod eventually moved there. It started at the top of the land of Adam that y'all erroneously call Africa. What y'all call Africa is actually was originally called the land of Adam. Some European general later on in time conquered the land, and he decided to call it Africa. And all you people out there in TV land in the world, the home planet, continent of all mankind is the land of Adam, not the word Africa, for the record. All right, let's go. It goes, and then let's go to the next shot. And this just gives you a little genealogy. All right, let's go to the next shot. All right, let's go to the next shot. Now, I have here important note, talk about the Choctaw people, nation, came to this Hebrew land in the year 1998 that you call America. But this is actually the ancient Hebrew land of the Hebrews. That's right. Other than on that side of the world, or the land of Adam that you call Africa, the center part of Israel is the center of the world. Well, the new world of the Hebrews was this land here. That's right. All right, we go down a little further. It goes on to say that Yaakov, who later on name was called Israel, he was born the year 2108. And we go on and say that the Choctaw people, nation, and the Homer Hebrew tribes and other tribes, they had came to this land. They had been in this land 110 years at that time before Yaakov, or what you call Israel, was born. Next shot. Now the Natchez Hebrew tribes, and here the Homer tribes and other tribes of this Hebrew ancient land that Solomon and King David and all of them used to come here. Guess what? Long before the 12 tribes have existed, they were here about 225 years. All right, go to the next shot. What you call North America, Central America, and South America, even like Mexico, those were ancient Hebrew tribal people. Ancient Hebrew tribal people. All this side of the world, these continents, Canada, what you call Canada today, North, Central, and South, those continents, they were Hebrew lands, and they built pyramids over here. That's right. Just like they have pyramids over there. These were Hebrew descendants, tribal people of different names. Next shot. And for the record, when you guys see this and you hear this, or you see and hear this historical Hebraic Hebrew document, it will still be, when you first see the show, the year 6,000, from Adam to now. Next. And then a few weeks later, when there's a rebroadcast, a few weeks later, then it would be, this is the 12th month right now, of what you call March, but in Hebrew it's Adar. This is the 12th month of the year. Eventually it would be the year 6001. Next shot. So the last high priest that followed Melchizedek is the prototype spirit being. When you read the scriptures in the 17th chapter, which y'all call John, but the correct word is Yathwai-Kanan, the Messiah is praying to heaven, to his Almighty Father, the Great Spirit, Yadwahe. And the Messiah, Yadwahe Shinai, that y'all call Jesus or Yeshua, but it's really Yadwahe Shinai. He said, Father, I've made your name known to the brothers that are around me, but I want them to know before I became flesh, before I was sent here, 4,227 years later, and was put in Mary, that the Catholics called the Black Madonna, because she was black like the curtains that was in the background, are black like that handwriting, and they make statues of her. He said, before I became human, I was a spirit being. I want them to know the position that you had gave me. And what you guys got to know, at the foundation where in the foundation of the world, you read a few verses down further, I think probably 1724, something like that. It goes on and tell you that the Messiah was in existence at the foundation of the world. So the Messiah is only 6,000 years old. First, it was just the spirit beings, spirit Hebrew beings, what we call angels. And the almighty spirit being self-existent that caused the angels to be, and that's the furthest we would know about that. It was just them as spirit soul beings. And then the almighty creator created a new spirit soul being, the first prototype of us as spirit beings, and it was the Mashiach. Our first existence, when we all came to be at the beginning of time, when the planet was created, this planet Earth in Hebrew, Adamah, this planet, when it was created, we was also created as spirit soul beings in heaven, all of us. My father, your father's father before him, father before him. And in time we were sent here as spirit soul beings. So we were citizens in heaven, and then once we sent to this Hebrew planet, the Mashiach's planet, we become citizens of this Hebrew planet. So we have two due citizenship. But if we don't live our life the way we should and follow those moral, understand writings and live a satanic life, we will lose our citizenship of heaven, citizenship of here on earth, and we'll be damned in the heart of the earth forever. But the Mashiach is the first new kind of spirit being. When the angels saw him, when the angels saw Adam was a new type of being. A new type of being they had never seen before. But before they saw the physical man Adam, who was also physical soul body, but a spirit soul inside a body, the Mashiach that Yadwahe gave the Mashiach knowledge to take the clay and dust of the earth and make it into a man, and then take the spirit soul essence of itself and breathe into that, to where we composed of physical soul and we composed of a spirit soul. Well, guess what? The Mashiach, he was the first spirit soul being of our father Adam as a spirit being, our mother Shavah as an Eve, and all of us. Let's go on. Next. And that's just breaking down our Heavenly Father. He's first of all that exists, that identified means Yadwahe, who is Elamekhe Yadmim, which y'all trying to say is God, but it means he's the mighty one, whose name is Yadwahe. And even as babies, every baby on the planet, when they come out their mother womb, no matter where you're at on the planet, no matter what language your parents speak or their parents speak, all babies use the term All babies on the planet. That's not coincidence. Is one of the Hebrew letters, and that's for us to proclaim when we come to life. What the last line says, that which means he's self-existent, who is Yod-Wah-He, is the source of Chaim, as in life, salvation, eternal life. Well, all of us as babies, all over the Hebrew planet, we first proclaim And then later on we start saying Hebrew sounds like ba, da, ta. But anyway, hit the next shot. And this is just showing that the Mashiach, from year one, 4,227 years later, the spirit being was put inside Mary in the city of Nazareth. That's right. He became human then. All right, next shot. And he's also became the high priest, as in Kohen HaKadosh, the year 486 Daniel timeline, but in Adam timeline, the year 4,256, he became high priest when he was anointed on from high from heaven, when the dove fell on him in the form of looking like a dove, but that was the Holy Spirit that y'all call Shekinah glory, in Hebrew, Ruach Kadesh. And what most Westerners don't understand, the ones y'all call Jews, they had been looking for Elijah to come, and they didn't know that this being the Nazarene that was birthed out of Mary was Elijah. But in Hebrew, the correct term is Yod-Wah-He Yod-Wah-He. That's who he was, also the Mashiach and Elijah. Next. Then the year 490, Abib 13, he became the atonement lamb for mankind, curse of sin of death that Satan had put on mankind in the 490 year. In Daniel timeline, but Adam timeline, from Adam to then, it would have been the year 4,260. That's right. Next. Oh, and also, hold up. Next, Satan has deceived us and certain forces that y'all usually say April 13, as in Abib 13 is bad luck day. They did that so we wouldn't be conscious of the term Abib and 13. And what that meant was that on the 13th, it was bad luck for Satan because he broke the curse of Satan when he died as the atonement lamb to purchase back our souls to where we can be resurrected one day. That's right. Go to the next shot. Read that little part right quick. And as you see, it explains how the Mashiach, as a human being, he offered up himself as a sacrifice. And also that verse, also that same year, 4,260, the prophecy of Daniel Yod-Wah-He is in Daniel 9:26. It says that since the Levitical priesthood, majority of them would not accept him because they didn't follow scriptures, war was declared on them. Because it also tells you, and then Yod-Wah-He is in Daniel, that the Hebrews were, once they came out of Babylon, they were saved. It would be 490 years, and then you would know who was the chosen one. Well, guess what? In the 490, from year 1 to the 490 year, in Daniel timeline and Adam timeline, that's the year 4,260. So it was crucial that you count time on certain situations, just like the prophet y'all call Jeremiah. Before that happened, 70 years, they were going to be in captivity. The preacher preached, you're going to be in Babylon for 70 years. That's right. So they counted, once they went into slavery, 70 years they was in Babylon. And then when they were freed, year 1 to the 490 year, so the year, let's just go on anyway to read some more writings. But time is very, very important. And then when the Mashiach died on Abib 13, the next day is Abib 14, the Passover. Guess what? Satan was bonded for 1,000 years on Abib 14, the year 490 year. Daniel timeline, but Adam timeline, 4,260. Satan was bonded, but you never hear the so-called people that call themselves preachers say Satan already had been bonded for 1,000 years. That's right. He was bonded then. That's why when you do 3 days later, they do the burials, 72 hours, what you're reading. When the Mashiach was in the underworld, his body was buried in the tomb. He was preaching as a spirit soul in the underworld. And Satan was brought down on Abib 14. And that's why after 72 hours, go to the next shot. After 72 hours on the third day of the week, Abib 17, the graves, after the Mashiach, the spirit soul went back into his body as a physical soul in the tomb. Then in turn, the Mashiach said a prayer, and the earth gave up the physical soul body that had turned to dust, came back together, and spirit as a spirit soul that went back in their body, and Almighty Yahweh provided clothes because he's powerful that he can do that there. And they walked in the city and gave their testimony of what they had heard underneath the earth. That's right, but anyway, they don't preach that. All right? Then go to the next shot. And then 40 days later will be what you call from Abib 17, the third day of the week of the resurrection, to Zeph 26. So that's like April 17 to May 26. That would have been the 40th day. Guess what? The ministry would have been over with by the 1,260th day of the ministry that actually is, flip it, next shot, that when Eli Lamek Wahe, Yud Wahe, who y'all call Elijah, his ministry was supposed to last for 3.5 years. Well, it was 3 years, 5 months, 17 days into the 6th month. And that's 1,261 days. That's right. Almighty, what you call God, came from heaven riding in the cloud and took the Mashiach up. That's right. Go to the next shot. Acts 1 and 9, when it's written correctly, you know the one y'all call Judas? But his real name is Yahweh Halal, who is Ben, son of Simon. Well, guess what? Just like Lazarus had died, it was in the tomb, but his spirit, soul, self came back to his body. Well, they hung Judas. But the Mashiach brought him back to life. And he was not the one that betrayed. They twist the scriptures around. The 11 of the disciples didn't want him to die, but he had to die. He was sin had to die, the Mashiach. The only faithful one to follow orders was what you call Judas. He followed orders. The Mashiach told him at the supper table, go and tell them people when I'm going to be at because the clock is ticking. Also, he told them, before he told them that, he said, you 12 men have been with me since the beginning. Each one of you guys are going to have a throne in my kingdom, even in the new world. That's right. So that contradicts what the people have been saying because they alter the scriptures. Go to the next shot. And when Almighty came, he took both of them up in the cloud, and the one you call Judas, Yahweh Halal, who was resurrected, guess what? He's one of the first out of the 12 to get his throne. He was taken up there with the Mashiach, and the Mashiach was put on his throne. Next. We have about 40 minutes, so I need to move fast. And if I don't finish, you guys will see the show. All right, this is just telling you that on the 13th, when the Mashiach first went up, after he come out the day he was resurrected, what they don't teach you is he went up to heaven. On the third day of the week, Abib 17, he went up to heaven and he opened up the scrolls and he took the scrolls out of his Almighty Father hand at Yad hand. So how can the Son be the Father when the Father is the Spirit being and the Mashiach went up on the resurrection and opened up the scrolls and took the scrolls out of his hand and then came back a little later on in time in that day. You guys don't know about that, but people that have watched the show in New Orleans have seen it in the scriptures, but people are blind, they just can't see. But anyway, Revelations 11 and 16, Galilean, tells you that on the 17th, the people that the Mashiach had took up the 144,000, that on the 40th day, when he was taken up to heaven, those people that he had set on thrones, the 144,000, guess what? They got off their thrones and bowed down to the Mashiach. Next. All right, now we're talking about again now the Hebrew natural tribes and the Homer tribes on this part of the world and what we call also this state, Louisiana. Guess what? They had been in the land at that time. All right, now the subject is changing. And we have 2,262 years from the year 1,998 when they first left. They was on this land. And you had no Caucasian had ever been on this Hebrew land, ancient land that you call America. They had been, all those tribes that you call Indians, had been on the land for 2,262 years. They had never seen one. And also in the year 4,260, when they talk about you guys are all happy about noticing the moon 9 times when it turned red. Well, guess what? The moon had turned, this is the year 6,000 now, but the moon first turned red the year 4,260. That was a long ago on Abib 13. The 490 year of Daniel, but of Adam timeline, 4,260. That's right. And that day, the sun was shining, and the scriptures tell you at 12 noon, excuse me, the whole planet was dark. Over there, because on one side of the world, when the sun is shining in one place, it's dark on the other side. Sometimes the sun shines all the time, and dark is 6 months, sometime. But anyway, the point, light, then dark. But the point is, at that time, when the sun refused to shine over there, it was also dark here. And the whole planet had not been dark like that since day one, Abib 1st, the new year, year 1, for the record. Go to the next shot. Giving you a few seconds to read because I have to hump. Because I would have did it a little different, but I wasn't able to study it the way I wanted. But you guys will see that what we're going to show you. And we're going to actually show you from year 1 to 6,000, even when Satan was freed, hopefully if time permit. Next shot. Let you know that in the year 4,581, Rome Constantine established the satanic Christianity that have idols all over the world. We don't supposed to bow down to statues. They don't breathe. That's actually a sin in Hebrew understanding. Now we tell you that the Hebrew Natchez tribes and the Homer tribes of what you call Louisiana on this Hebrew land and other families by then had been on the planet 2,583 years before any pale face had ever came. That's right. On this land, which you call America, which is Hebrew land, they hadn't had a Caucasian here on this part of the land. Those dark-skinned people that were here, and if you Google right now that the information is open up to you, when you look at pictures that they took in the 1800s of the original people of this land, you're going to find out they wasn't pale-skinned like I'm 57 years old. They wasn't pale-skinned like we used to see on TV. The footage in real time, when you Google now, you see they were black-skinned or copper, reddish brown like me. That's right, completely black-skinned. Look at them pictures now. But later on, when the Gentile Europeans came over with the killing and raping and all that there, not all Gentiles did that, but when they came over killing and raping and sexism, a lot of the people's skin got lighter. And then they also did a census in the early 1900s. And a lot of you people that call yourself Black Americans, your family ancestors knew that they had original Hebrew blood in it, that they called themselves Indians because Columbus had said that. But a lot of your family members are the original Hebrew people of this land. But when they did the census with what you call it, racism and Jim Crow and all that there, the census writers that was in power just decided to just call y'all Black Africans. But a lot of y'all DNA blood is from original Hebrew people. All right, next. Now here we're just telling you that Deny Yudwahe 7 and 25, or Daniel, just repeating that when Roman Catholicism came in power, now when Rome came in power, now first it was just Constantine who was Roman, but a little time later it evolved into Roman Catholicism. And it was the year 4714. All right, next. And at that time, you do the mathematics, and no pale-faced Gentile that ever still came to this Hebrew land that you call America, but it's really ancient Hebrew land. They had been on this land for 2,716 years. No pale skin. People had ever been here yet. And for the record, at that time in year, the Mashiach had became human 487 years before. Next. Some more years had passed, 546. Then guess what? Satan, last year, he was released over 1,000 years. It was the year 5,260. Keep in mind, it was the year 4,260 when he was bonded for 70 years on April 13th. And you add 1,000 years to 4,260, what you get? 5,260. So in that year, from when Catholicism came in power, you had 540 more 6 years, Satan was out. And keep in mind, this is the year 6,000. This is the year 6,000. But Satan, before the year 6,000, Satan had been released by the year 5,260. All right, next, go to the next shot. Now we got here to talk about the unholy Roman Catholic denomination, papacy. That Roman Catholicism started the slave trade of people. That's right. And when they did start, also the Portuguese in the year 5,435 was engaged in dark-skinned slavery. And this was before the transatlantic slavery of many of you in this Hebrew land that y'all call America, that many of your ancestors were taken on ships and all of that and brought here. That was 167 years before the transatlantic. But Roman Catholicism that we talk about, this is Louisiana, it's a Catholic city. It was the Roman Catholics from that world over there to over here. This is one of the main stops that they brought those slaves, for the record. All right, next shot. And right now, guess what? Arabs right now, this is the year 6,000. But guess what? Also at the time, that year 5,435, when the Portuguese had started enslaving people on the land of Adam that y'all call Africa, guess who? The Portuguese, the Catholic Church was doing it too. That's right. Roman Catholicism, they were doing it too. And the Arabs were doing it. They were doing it then. And even to the day, the year 6,000. Right now, Arabs are enslaving Libyans. Go on Google. And you'll see a lot of those people that look just like y'all. the ones that call yourself black. They're enslaving them, and there's no outcry in America. Google it. Go on YouTube. You hear the people talking about it? They're putting them in chains. Even though the world called the year 6000, the year 2018, but go right now, you'll see that. Go to the next shot. All right, go to the next shot. And what this is showing you, when the Mashiach left, there was a 70-year period. Those ones you call Jews, and a lot of them black folks be on the internet talking about, we the real Jews, we the real Jews. But guess what? Within them 70 years the Mashiach left, it would have been the first 35 years would have been the year 4,295. Those Hebrews that you call European Jews, they were black-skinned at that time. They were taken on slave ships and brought to Egypt because they didn't believe that Mary's child was the chosen one. When in the first 35 years, that would have been the year from 4260. It would have been the year 4,295. They took them off in slavery. Crossed from Israel back to Egypt, then across the Mediterranean Sea. And then another 35 years, it would have been the year 4,330. That adds up to 70 years. They were taken from Israel back to Egypt in chains and then across the Mediterranean Sea. And those blacks that think you're smart, you don't understand what y'all call yourself black Americans or whatever, don't understand. That was the first group of Hebrews that went. You guys that left, ancestors that left at that first 70-year period and went to the west and south of what you call Africa, they wouldn't go into slavery till 1,307 years later on ships. But you wouldn't cross the Mediterranean. You would cross the Atlantic Ocean. But yet y'all try to claim Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28 was for the first Hebrews that y'all call Jews that y'all claim are not Hebrews. And what you don't understand, we all the same people, but y'all too slow to understand that. Next shot. My time is ticking. I got to move. Hurry up and read that, y'all. And the only thing it's just telling you what I just said. Next shot. There were two different Hebrew slave ship dispensations. But both groups, the ones you call Jews, didn't accept, them priests and certain ones didn't accept Mary's child, Yod Wahei Shinan, that y'all call Jesus or Yeshua. But if they'd been following scriptures and counting, they would have understood. They went into slavery. Then 1,307 years later, then the transatlantic people went into slavery. But they didn't leave the Mediterranean Sea. All right, next shot. Next shot. Just Daniel 9:27 just explains it. Of the ones you call Jews that went into slavery. 1,307 years before the transatlantic. Next shot. Next shot. Now my clock got 53. Okay, maybe you're right. Okay. That's your Deuteronomy 28. And that's real time when Moses wrote about it. Next shot. Deuteronomy 28 day and talk about your males and females will go into slavery from Egypt and be brought to the Gentile land. You people of transatlantic slavery, you didn't go to no Gentile land. You came over to this Hebrew land, what you call America. The so-called Jews, what you call Jews, they went from Israel to Egypt, then to what you call Europe, Gentile land. That's Deuteronomy 28:68. They went. You have a different dispensation, and y'all claiming something and then calling those people that you call the Jews as if they're not Hebrew. They are Hebrew descendants, at least they're generations of Hebrew descendants, just like y'all in the transatlantic are Hebrew descendants. But you can be Hebrew descendants of that dispensation or the other dispensation. If you're not living a Hebrew way of life, righteous, It don't mean I can say this here because it's in the dictionary, darn thing, but I want to say the word. I guess I can slip and say damn. As far as not a curse word, just don't mean a doggone thing. Next shot. Next shot. Next shot. That's just Deuteronomy scriptures. Next shot. How many minutes I have left again now, controller? All right. Next shot. Next shot. When y'all tape it, you'll be able to get this information because you'll tape it when you see the show come on. All right, now look at that there. You see what that say? Read it right quick. When the Pilgrims came, guess what? The people had been on this land, look at that, 3,603 years. Next shot. Next shot. Next shot. When the 13 colonies came, it was the year 5,759. Next shot. Next shot. Oh. And it's, all right. Next, look, that's the Civil War. The year was 5,844 when the Civil War started. And then when they wrote the Declaration of Independence, well, you seen it. Next shot. Next shot. Next shot. Next shot. In the year, from Adam, year 1, to the year of Katrina, mankind had been on the planet 5,988 years. And that became the freedom year. Well, the 1,274 years is up for Roman Catholicism controlling the world and slicking people because knowledge is out there now. Add 12 to 5,988, you get the year 6,000. Now, you people at home, when you see this show come on, tape it and do the calculations. But we're going to come later on when we have time, and we're going to break it down slower and you'll be able to see. But it's only been 6,000 years that this planet has existed. And for the record, those Hebrew people, before the first European or Caucasian came to this land, what you call America, but it's Hebrew land, they had been on this land for 3,437 years before the first pale face that ever came. Those Hebrew descendants. Thank you for watching the Hebrew Messianic Show. Shalom Aleichem. Be encouraged. And I can produce that to anybody on the planet, anybody, and show you from the history book, what you call the Bible, that mankind has only been here for 6,000 years, and I use real-time people and places. Be smart in school, and you can be just like this here. Shalom Aleichem. Be the best you can be. Everybody, and it's not about a racist thing. I'm just showing history. I had to use somebody in some event.